I know that Singaporeans are concerned about the cost of living. We feel the pressure in Singapore too. Opposition parties have tried to exploit this issue to turn sentiments against the PAP, even though they themselves do not have good solutions. It is already tough to be a small country for our voice to be heard. It will be even tougher if our voice is diffused and incoherent. Actually, at 52, I'm one of the youngest in cabinet. But can I wait until they retire before bringing in new blood? Surely not. We are embarking on our next phase of nation building under very trying circumstances. For decades, countries everywhere, all of us have benefited from an American-led global order. Now, the situation is changing. America is still preeminent, but it no longer wants to be the world's policeman. Meanwhile, there are other rising powers like China and India, but they too are focused on their own domestic issues, and they are not yet in a position to take on larger global responsibilities. And so the world is in flux. The established norms are fading, but a new order is not yet in place. And amidst this vacuum of global leadership, we can expect more conflict and instability in the world, because state and non-state actors will be emboldened to test boundaries, often with little or no consequence. These are the realities of the world we live in today. And the dynamics will be with us for some time. We're not talking about 1 or 2 years and then things will improve. I think we will have to grapple with this perhaps for the next decade or beyond. It means we will find it more difficult to make a living and keep ourselves safe. Other countries may test our limits, and we must be ready to stand firm and defend our interests. At the same time, we must redouble our efforts to make friends with everyone, big and small, near and far. Above all, we must remain united as one united people. Singaporeans are bound to have different views on global developments, whether it be the actions of America or China, or the wars in Europe or the Middle East. But we cannot let our differences pull us apart. It is already tough to be a small country for our voice to be heard. It will be even tougher if our voice is diffused and incoherent. At the end of the day, we must consider the larger national interest and take a united position. Then we can speak with one voice on the world stage, and we will be valued as a safe and secure, a stable and reliable nation, even in a troubled and uncertain world. Fortunately, Singapore's reputation and international standing is high. We participate actively in international forums, and people want to hear us. It's because when we speak, others know that it is a Singaporean point of view, coherently articulated by the government and supported by Singaporeans. They know we mean business and we do not waver. So without Singaporeans steadfastly supporting the government, we will not be able to navigate this new turbulent world. We will not be able to withstand hostile foreign influence operations that have divided and undermined other societies. That's why I do not take the trust and support of Singaporeans lightly. My team and I will work hard to earn your trust and to be a steadfast voice for Singapore and Singaporeans on the world stage. I know that Singaporeans are concerned about the cost of living. It's not unique to us in Singapore. Countries everywhere face similar pressures because of the recent spike in global inflation. Over the recent months, inflation in many of these places, including Singapore, has moderated, but price levels remain higher than before, and this impacts on people's sense of well-being. So you just take a look at the outcomes of elections held this year across many countries. Frustration with rising cost of living overshadowed other matters and contributed to a very strong sense of anti-incumbency feeling, meaning whoever is the incumbent in power, there is a strong feeling against that incumbent party. And so every governing party in a developed country that held elections this year has lost vote share. Quite a number have lost the mandate to govern altogether. We feel the pressure in Singapore too. Opposition parties have tried to exploit this issue to turn sentiments against the PAP, even though they themselves do not have good solutions. We hope Singaporeans understand that these are global inflation trends. They impact all countries. But here in Singapore, the government is doing its best to shield you, to shield all of us from the worst effects of inflation. We've rolled out major packages over the last few years to support Singaporeans, and there is more help on the way. Next month, in December, there will be some measures from the assurance package, and in January, another tranche of CDC vouchers coming up. I am now preparing for Budget 2025. Because I'm still the finance minister, remember. I will see how we can continue to provide additional support in the budget. These are national schemes, national programs, but on top of them, each of our branches in our constituencies, all of you, have been busy rolling out your own local schemes and programs. So as a government and as a party, we are doing all that we can. And we can truly say that, hand on heart, we are doing all that we can to help Singaporeans cope with higher cost of living. In the last election, the opposition said, beware of an opposition wipeout. Please save us, otherwise there will be a wipeout. Actually, there is no chance of that happening at all. There have been opposition MPs in Parliament continuously ever since 1981. And with the NCMP scheme, we are guaranteed of at least 12 opposition MPs in Parliament. The opposition in Singapore is here to stay. In fact, given the desire for more opposition voices, the bigger risk we face is the loss of a stable and strong and good government. The opposition themselves admit that they are far from ready to form the government. They say that partly because they know that Singaporeans will not support them if they openly declare their intention to govern. So they are very quick to assure Singaporeans, don't worry, you can vote for us. We only want to oppose, we don't want to form the government. But if more and more voters are persuaded by this argument and they vote for the opposition, you can be sure that what is now the opposition will soon be the government. The opposition today will be the government tomorrow. And it does not require a large swing in votes. We saw in the last election how many GRCs and SMCs were closely contested. A modest swing in popular votes against the PAP can lead to very different electoral outcomes. We are talking very possibly the loss of another 3 or 4 GRCs. That means we lose another 4 or 5 ministers or a quarter of the cabinet. we will end up with a much weaker government, with far less ability to solve the problems facing our people and our country at a time when the world is becoming more uncertain and troubled. So my priority as PM, as SecGen, is to form the best team for Singapore. It's never easy to get good people to enter politics. I asked my two predecessors, ESM Goh and SM Lee, do you have any advice and tips for me? They say, just do your best. This has always been challenging. They too face difficulties attracting good people to join. Look at the current cabinet in Singapore. We have 19 ministers. More than half of them are aged 60 and above. Actually, at 52, I'm one of the youngest in cabinet. No, I value the older ministers in the team. They provide experience and wise counsel. And many of them will continue serving for another 5 to 10 years. And that's assuming they are all blessed with good health. And I wish them good health for sure. But can I wait until they retire before bringing in new blood? Surely not. I must start now to renew the team. Furthermore, when we bring in new candidates, it's very hard to parachute them directly into a ministerial role. They need time to learn. And that has been my own experience. I was inducted into politics in 2011. At that time, I was 38. I had already spent 15 years in the civil service. But there was still so much to learn about organizing the PAP branch on the ground, gaining the trust of voters, running a ministry, explaining policies to the public, or engaging and interacting with foreign counterparts. These were all new to me, even after working as a public servant for 15 years. So there is tremendous value in starting early, gaining experience, and then progressively building up confidence and capabilities to take on larger responsibilities. And that's why it's so urgent for me to have a fresh crop of younger candidates who can provide vigor and continuity and can eventually form the next leadership team for Singapore. Comrades, this will be our last party conference before the general election. As your Prime Minister, I have set the tone for my leadership to be inclusive, to engage and listen, and to give everyone a voice and stake in our nation. As your Secretary General, I will renew and strengthen our party. I will put together the best team to serve our people and our nation. I will deepen the symbiotic ties between the PAP and the NTUC. Together, we will fight to win the hearts and minds of our fellow citizens and earn their support and trust through our actions. For we are the People's Action Party. We will always be a people's party, a party of action, a party that builds a better Singapore with Singaporeans for all Singaporeans. So to all Singaporeans, I say, even as we seek your support, the PAP will always be your biggest supporter. We will always be here for you. Your dreams will inspire our actions. Together, let us forge a new path forward and build a better Singapore for all. Majulah PAP, Majulah Singapura. Thank you.